weapons and artillery and survival, books and gas masks and flashlights and canteens and ready-to-eat meals and all that. If you're not stocking that up, I don't know how serious we are right now. Absolutely, we want the complete removal of capitalism. Why? Because capitalism sets up a class structure and a class society, as I said in the beginning, of the haves and have-nots, that the pivotal point is racism. It is racism that keeps and perpetuates a capitalistic motion. And so, yes, we want capitalism completely eradicated, especially from the minds and hearts and dealings of black people.
Do not buy into the race war. We don't need to fight with each other. Our real problem is the elite at the top. Just as we have people who've sold out at the elite level, sold out humanity, want us all dead, even though they have the same skin color as many of the people in this country, other leaders are capable of selling out too. And don't trust anyone telling you have to go on a killing spree and start a sea of blood because one person they've hyped up in the media was killed in a questionable incident. Of course, the Trayvon thing was tragic. I wish he hadn't been killed, but we don't need to start a race war over this. Besides, stuff happens every week, every day to individuals, including many black people who should not have been killed, whether it's police or other black-on-black crime, whatever it is. Why are they hyping this incident up? In the immortal words of Rodney King, can we not just get along? I mean, really, we don't need to go to this level. It's unproductive. It's counterproductive. It plays into election politics, and I hope it stops somewhere soon. Hopefully well short of what the so-called new Black Panther Party people have called for, if indeed they're not just provocateurs in their own right. Meanwhile, in the election campaign, things are seemingly closing in for Mitt Romney, and yet Ron Paul, who couldn't win, can't win, never could even get a vote, can't even win a precinct, continues to draw record crowds. Now that record crowd is more than 10,000 people. That's at the recent UCLA rally. I believe we have a clip of that, and we could show that there. Meanwhile, he had a 5,000-person rally in Illinois, a 5,200-person rally in Wisconsin in recent days. And we spent more than an hour researching this. Rob Dew led the effort. Mitt Romney's largest crowd that at least we could find was in Idaho back on March 1st. It was only 2,200. Mitt Romney, who's supposedly a sure thing for the nomination, his largest crowd is a mere 2,000 plus. Meanwhile, Ron Paul consistently draws 5,000, 10,000, or several thousand. I think you remember our coverage a few months back, a few weeks back anyway, where at the same time Ron Paul was drawing 5,000, Santorum and Romney were drawing a couple hundred. Newt Gingrich was drawing 70 people at events he was doing. Just ask yourself why Ron Paul can't be covered. Meanwhile, we turn to other news where psychiatric drugs continue to be part of the problem, not the answer, even though the elites who are steering our society want us to do otherwise. Paul Joseph Watson and Alex Jones report on the antidepressant drugs causing epidemics of mania, mayhem, and murder, spotlighting the most recent cop-killing episode in Austin, where the man accused of the shooting was apparently on the anti-anxiety drug Xanax, as well as tequila. Definitely not a good recipe. But then later in the article, they go on to cite a laundry list of cases that were apparently tied to these psychiatric drugs, including Ed Harris, one of the triggermen of the Columbine shooting, 13-year-old Chris Fetters, who killed his favorite aunt while on Prozac, 12-year-old Chris Pittman, who killed his grandparents while on Zoloft, 13-year-old Matthew Miller hung himself after taking Zoloft, 15-year-old Jared Vicker stabbed his grandmother 61 times after being on Paxil for 5 days, 15-year-old Kip Kinkle shot his parents while on Prozac, and the list just goes on and on. We don't have time to read all these, but certainly people have to begin questioning the use of these antidepressant drugs. They're not the solution, even though new report shows more than 100,000 active duty Army troops are on medication. And that's supposed to allow them to deal with their post-traumatic stress disorder. I think it's pretty dangerous. And is that part of the cause of what we're seeing where they're killing people in Afghanistan and other places? That's a larger question. But we have never medicated our troops to the extent we are doing now. And I don't believe the current increase in suicides and homicides in the military is a coincidence. That from Bart Billings, a former military psychologist. But Natural News, J.D. Hayes, reports that mental health disorders mean high-profit business for prescription drug cartels. All the more reason because the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, which is due to come out in May of 2013, is virtually a Bible for prescribing pharmacologicals for all known psychological disorders. And it's got thousands of entries in this 900-page manual. Virtually every one of them relies on these pharmaceutical solutions, just as Aldous Huxley warned about in his Brave New World, that we learn to love our servitude through drugging ourselves, basically. Monsanto threatens to sue the entire state of Vermont, all because they want to label genetically modified foods. Oh no, big danger, to let consumers know what they're eating, what's on the end of their fork. People never look at what's on the end of their fork. As it was said in Naked Lunch. Monsanto is going mad over the proposal, which would also make them unable to label their productions as natural, naturally made, naturally grown, or all natural, if in fact they are not. It's a deceptive label you've probably already seen out there a great deal. It doesn't mean non-genetically modified. It just means it has a flavor of naturalness to it. Anyway, for the corporation, it would seem that moving products and making money is much more a worthwhile venture than telling its consumers exactly what they are consuming. Another Natural News article cites the EPA study where GMO insecticide is approved and now is being responsible for killing off bees and contaminating the entire food chain. Meanwhile, a new study shows that the EPA-approved GMO insecticide is responsible for killing off bees and contaminating the entire food chain. Early last year, documents leaked were obtained by a Colorado beekeeper that exposed the EPA's illegitimate approval of clothianidin, a highly toxic pesticide manufactured by Bayer and the Crop Science Department. The regulatory agency knew it was capable of killing off bees, but approved it anyway. Now a new study out of Purdue University in Indiana has not only confirmed this, but once again has shown that clothianidin is killing off bees, and its toxicity is systematic throughout the entire food chain. It could one day lead to the catastrophic destruction of the food supply. More hopeful reporting there as South American leaders say the war on drugs has failed, that prohibition is not the correct strategy, and it's destroying their economies and their hope for the future. The decision by Perez Molina to speak out against it is seen as highly significant and not without political risk. Polls suggest that the vast majority of Guatemalans oppose decriminalization, but Perez Molina's comments are seen as many as helping to usher in a new era of debate. They will be studied closely by foreign policy experts who detect that Latin American leaders are shifting their stance on prohibition following decades of drug wars that have left hundreds of thousands dead. I believe it's more than 30,000 just in Mexico alone. Mexico's president, Felipe Calderón, has called for a national debate on the issue. Last year, Juan Manuel Santos, Colombia's president, told The Observer if legalizing drugs curtailed the power of organized criminal gangs that had thrived during Prohibition, the world thinks that's the solution, and I welcome it. But recall that the U.S. stopped Mexico from decriminalizing many drugs, including marijuana and cocaine, and steered them away from that as a solution. Why? Let's look back to the financial crisis. This was only one of many revelations to hit the news wires, many others reporting at the risk of their lives long before this stuff hit the news wires, that drug money saved the banks in the global crisis, claims UN advisor. It also propped up the stock exchange in the years before the global crisis. Drug money worth billions of dollars kept the financial system afloat at the height of the global crisis, the UN Drugs and Crime Czar told The Observer. And look at it. Why do you think they're letting this stuff come across the border? Why do you think they're giving them immunity? Because it's going straight to Wall Street so they can launder it and prop up all the other scams they're running. Meanwhile, Patrick Henningsen has a report from a couple days ago. More furious, U.S. soldiers trafficking arms, drugs to DE agents posing as Los Zetas. And of course, Rob Dew and Patrick Henningsen are just going to discuss this further on the other side of the break. But part of the story includes that they not only tried to trade these weapons and drugs, but they offered full combat training for more than 40 people they believe to be cartel members of Los Zetas, and told them basically where they could steal guns and on and on. And this is a bizarre case But it's strange because we know they've been protecting the Las Zetas cartel, and yet they're stinging on these troops who are allegedly engaged in this stuff. Who knows what's going on, but it's all going down. There's so much happening at that border zone, so many different hypocrisies. It's something you're going to have to look into for yourself, but it's all over the news as well. We turn now to our daily quote before we come back with that Patrick Henningsen interview, and it's from Congressman Louis T. McFadden back in 1932. We have in this country one of the most corrupt institutions the world has ever known. I refer to the Federal Reserve Board. This evil institution has impoverished the people of the United States and has practically bankrupted our government. It has done this through the corrupt practices of the moneyed vultures who control it. And that's it for the INFOWARS Nightly News. Don't forget to support us by subscribing at PRISONPLANET.tv. And don't forget to check out our reporter contest as well. We're trying to find fresh new content and use synergy to our advantage while we still have the internet available. We'll be back after this with Patrick Henningsen and Lord Rob Dew. Thanks for watching.
I'm announcing our biggest contest ever. And we're looking for people who love freedom and who want to be all in the resistance to tyrants. So you say you want to fight the New World Order. Why, if you were on the radio, if you were Alex Jones, you'd really kick some globalist ass. Well, here's your chance. We're hiring not one, but 2 new reporters whose reports are going to be on the radio, whose reports are going to be on the nightly news, who will even anchor the show. If you're ready, here's your chance to step into my shoes, and I hope you surpass what I've done. 2 winners, $10,000 in prizes, and a shot to be a reporter inside the INFOWARS.com command center. We're looking to hire 1 male reporter and 1 female reporter. And when you win $5,000. Your video gets seen by hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people on YouTube, and you get put into the very front of the running to be hired as a reporter / anchor right here in our operation. Do you have what it takes to be the next Info Warrior? The rules are posted below me here and at INFOWARS.com. This is a big deal. You know, the globalists are expanding their global empire, but at the same time, the people are waking up all over the world. We've expanded our operations in the last year. We've added the nightly news 5 nights a week. We're making more special reports. We're reaching 15 million people every week. In a year, I want that to be 30 million. This is your chance to join the team.